Welcome to On the Spectrum. I'm your host, Terry Matthews. This is the show where we inform you, entertain you, and yes, educate you about all things autism. We like to call it prescription TV. Joining me today is Kevin Howard, and he is an author of the book Kookabuk, and also the father of a son who's diagnosed with autism. How are you today, Kevin?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so glad to see that you're here.
I can't tell you how excited I am to be here.
We had the opportunity of getting this book ahead and early, and we spent some time on airplanes reading this book, and it was so much better than having an iPad in my son's hand.
Oh, it's a great interaction, and I'm so happy that you guys enjoyed it.
Well, what sparked my thing in reference to this story, or what sparked my thought about this story, is like, how in the world did you even come up with this? I mean, it's not an easy thing in my mind as a parent and as a business person. I'm saying, oh my gosh, how could somebody even create something like this?
Well, actually, it's a story built on over 50 years of experience. 14 years ago, my son was diagnosed with autism. And but the diagnosis wasn't the beginning to this. This happened 50 years earlier with a toy monkey named Kookabuk. He was a toy that was given to me while I was in the hospital in New York City. I was there for an extended stay. And one of my father's friends gave me this toy to keep me company. We didn't have
iPads.
Yeah, none of that stuff. We didn't have the iPhones, the iPads, the Game Boys. We didn't even have cable TV.
Wow.
So the only gadget that I had was this and my new friend.
Really?
So Kookabuk and I went on all these imaginary adventures together, just doing different things. And, he helped me through a very difficult time. And now a half a century later, believe it or not, he's helping me through another difficult time.
Well, he helped you look great, too, if that's been half a century.
That's very sweet of you to say. And you can say it as much as you like. But when my son was diagnosed, we noticed he was having a lot of issues with new situations, doing things that typically we do every day. Mm-hmm. So questioning a therapist, she recommended using social stories. I said, okay, what's that? And a social story is about a specific situation, use lots of pictures, limit the words, read it over and over and over again, make it fun. I said, okay. And so I put one together for him to have for a doctor's visit, to have his blood drawn. It worked.
Are you serious?
It worked.
So let me tell you, social stories, because Jaden, when he was diagnosed initially, he was nonverbal. And we had so many challenges with him, especially when it came to transition. My goodness, to create social stories for him was how we just got up out of bed in the morning and got dressed for school. Yep. Or got out of bed in the morning and got in a car ride to go to a particular place like Target or the grocery store.
Yep, that's what we did.
So what's interesting to me about this book, not only is it written in English, but it's also written in Spanish. What made you think to write it in Spanish?
Well, it's the second most popular language in the world. and autism isn't just isolated for people who are English speakers. So we wanted to broaden it out a little bit, and we're going to start with Spanish. We would love it to be in every language because I think it's important. Unfortunately, autism isn't just for kids who live in America, it's worldwide.
Absolutely.
And I think it's 1 every 20 minutes is diagnosed worldwide.
So what led you to get started with this? We heard that you had this monkey that you were given. I'm sure somewhere in your life you put the monkey down. Then you have your son that's diagnosed. You created these social stories. And what made you put pen to paper and begin to write this out for not just your son, but to help other people? And where did you find the time?
Well, it's very difficult to kind of put it all together, but Kookabuk had such a lasting impact on me. I mean, he helped me so much through that little bit of time, and I was in the hospital almost a couple of months.
Wow.
I always wanted to do something with that character to help kids, children through something, whatever it was. I couldn't come up with any idea how it's going to make Kookabuk like a superhero. Is he going to have magical powers? My son gave me the answer.
That is so amazing. And you know what I think is important is that As I have talked with a variety of people from different industries or different friends of mine that have kids that are on the spectrum, one thing I'm finding that we all have in common is that our kids actually bring out the best in us. When I feel like sometimes we're trying to work to bring out the best in them, it's actually having a huge impact on us.
It definitely does. My son has changed me dramatically. I say I learned more in his lifetime than I learned in mine.
Wow.
And I look through things through compassionate lenses now. And I'm not saying I wasn't like that before, but I'm much more aware of it.
Yes.
And when you look at somebody and it seemingly everything looks perfect, you have no idea what their struggles are.
So tell me this, what do you feel is the impact of this book? It's about social stories, but how do you think, one, it helps parents, and how do you think it will help a child? I've had my own experience and I can share that, but I also believe that I want to hear from you as the author of this book. Like, what was your expectation? What did you want parents to feel, understand, or learn from this book?
That they can have activities and do things with their child because they're kids first.
Right.
They're not autism first, they're children first. And all children want to be around their parents and do things with their parents.
That's so awesome.
And what better interaction can you have with your child to have an activity that you can do the social story together? And then there's no other better way to teach social interaction or social skills than sitting down with your child and reading together.
And I think we're, not to knock my folks over at Apple, but we spend a lot of time on electronics. And I think it creates levels of distraction. Picking up a book means a whole lot.
There is no more meaningful way to interact with your kid, at least for me. When I sat down with my son Seth and we read things together, and then he would read it back to me, and I'd watch his abilities grow and grow and grow. And it wasn't at a fast clip. We were always moving in this direction, which was good. We were moving up, but it was a slow crawl. But we got to where we wanted to be each and every time. And I can tell you, I've been so enriched by having spent that kind of time with my kid. Mm-hmm. Not saying, well, work got in the way and all that. It almost forced me to be home more and to do more than maybe what your typical father would do. Mm-hmm. But it's been a blessing for me.
So let me say this, because I think that people need to understand that is there an age group for this book? Can you start with a 14-year-old? Can you start with a 4-year-old? Because I think you can start with anybody with it.
Sure. We're hitting a lot of different angles here. We say we're pre-K to third grade, but you could be higher depending on abilities and all that stuff. But we're not just doing this for the child who's on the spectrum.
Right.
Okay. We're also really, the thought process was, Kookabuk is the main character. Mm-hmm. He's a little boy with autism.
Yep.
But the hero of our stories is Emily. And she's the one who's going to go out and she has all the characteristics that we want in what we're hoping people have, which is compassion,
yes,
friendliness, kindness, patience, all those things. She models that for everybody else. She's teaching everybody else how they can interact successfully with a child that might have a condition, but just interact with people in general.
Because really, that's how we should be in general,
course,
regardless if someone has autism. But today, in our world, we got to teach people a few things.
And we shouldn't have to identify it.
Right.
I don't say my son is different. He's the same as all other children. The only thing that's different is his support system. So we have to do different things to support him. I do it for my other son. He has different needs and different supports. That's all. They're still two of my boys.
Yes.
There's no difference between them from that fact. And the support that we give Seth might take a little bit longer than what we do with Joe. That's okay. We're not on my timetable, I know that.
So you have to tell me, are there only 1 or 2 or 3 stories? How many of these should we be seeing? And will there actually be a Kookabuk character that our kids could hang on to, hold on to, hang out with?
Oh, I would love for that to happen. I can't wait. As far as the books go, we have 53 story titles ready to go. Number 3 is coming out right before the holidays. It's Kookabuk Uses Nice Hands. So it's all about no pushing or hitting or anything like that. And then the next one after that is going to be all about transitioning. So it's What's Next, Kookabuk? So we're hitting some pretty big topics, whether we're teaching a new skill or modifying a behavior like with Nice Hands, or teaching children how to transition from one activity to the next, which is difficult for all kids.
Yes, absolutely.
Not just kids on the spectrum, it might be a little bit more difficult for them, and especially going from a preferred activity to a non-preferred activity. You know.
No, that brings up a good question for me. Now, this isn't in my mind. Isn't just for me and Jaden. I feel like in my mind, I want to share this with Jaden's schools and with the other parents. I think it's a great learning tool for teachers, whether they have a mixture of autistic kids in their classes with neurotypical kids, or they have are in an autistic support class. I mean, is this something that you would even recommend for teachers or school systems to pick up?
Yeah. Well, what I would say is take it out of your mind and take it to the school systems and tell them that, because I would love for that to happen. Absolutely. And we want to be part of curriculum. My brother, who's a very big part of this, and he's actually the smart one. We're writing curriculum and activities to go along with the book. So for sharing, we have a number of activities already written to make it a full unit at school.
This is so awesome. First of all, let me just say, so viewers out there, just so that you're aware, we're going to be actually giving away a book. I need you to comment below. Tell us a little bit about what you know about Kookabuk. And what we'll do for you is send a book out to you. One of you lucky people will get an opportunity to get this book, one in English and one in Spanish. So we look forward to putting this into the hands of people. How can people find you? How can they follow you?
We have a presence on Facebook. A Kookabuk presence on Facebook, on Instagram, we're on Twitter. Our website is www.kookabuk.com, Kookabuk, and we ask you to come visit us. We got a lot of things on there. We have activities for the kids that they can do. We even have a gallery of, it's called Emily's Gallery of all the Kooky Troop members. So you can subscribe and become a member of the Kooky Troop. And we would love Jaden to be part of that. We would love to put that picture of him holding up the book that you gave me.
Please. That would be awesome. Because again, we were on the plane reading this book for 6
great.
hours, which was pretty awesome.
That was great. And yeah, so they can find us there. We have T-shirts and other things available on our website. I mean, we got a lot going on there. So
well, thank you so much too, even for our gifts, and we look forward to supporting you on the spectrum. And Jaden and I again love this story, and we, as much as possible, if we can support you and get this in the hands of school districts as well as other families, we think it's an awesome tool. And the number one thing that I think that it shows is how parents can spend that interactive time with one another, minus all the distractions of cell phones and iPads, because sometimes we just need to go old school with paper, flip through some stories,
Absolutely.
Look through some colors, and then be able to talk about the things that we see in the book, right? It's an adventure.
We need this. Everybody needs more of this. We don't need all the electronics. You know, everybody's dependent on that. You know, we could connect with people around the world instantaneously, right? But the shortest distance between two people is a smile. And if you want to connect with somebody, smile with them, interact with them, and
our kids learn off of that.
That's
they
right.
really do.
And that's how you learn
Verbal or
social
nonverbal.
skills.
That's exactly right. That's how they learn social skills. Kevin, thank you so much for sharing this information about this book. I so look forward to getting this in the hands of other readers and definitely spreading the awareness. And, you know, even Emily, she has a great story to tell. She's setting an awesome example. And in Jaden's mind, I'm his Emily.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, can I just give you one bit of information about Emily before we go?
Absolutely.
Everybody asks me, where did we get the name Emily from? Did we just pick it because it's one of the most popular girls' names? And no. We picked it because she was the first person, a little girl, classmate of my son Seth, who became his friend.
Really?
A true friend, where she would interact with him, not just hi and bye, but she would sit with him, she would talk to him, she would call him on the phone. It was unbelievable. She was a true friend to my son Seth. And so there was no question when we came up with the character that her name was going to be Emily.
That is so amazing, and what a good story. You know, I think we need to get in contact with Disney or somebody.
Let's do it.
Because this is bigger even than a book.
Yeah, we would love to see him on a cartoon, I guess, what is it?
Cartoon Network.
Cartoon Network, and Nick Jr.
Absolutely.
Nick Jr., we have acceptance and tolerance. We're teaching something here. Our books have a theme, and I hope, from what you're saying, you like the characters. I think we have cute characters and a very strong message that we're trying to send out.
Absolutely, and thank you so much for taking the time away from even your family, I know, to produce this information.
They were happy to get rid of me.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this segment of Let's Talk. That's all the time we have. For more information about how you can get your Kookabuk, please log on or subscribe to YouTube channel at youtube.com/onthespectrumtm or www.onthespectrum.tv. Thank you for joining us, and see you next time on The Spectrum. First of all, I really do want to get this book in the hands of people. The characters are absolutely adorable.